Now to the news. Every year, some 65,000 undocumented youth graduate from high schools in the United States. Many of them, at least a dozen, and maybe many more, right here in Somerville. Reporter Marcelo Brosiner and news director Jane Regan bring us more.
I'm 18. I'm a senior. I was a soccer captain on my senior year. I currently have a 3.5 GPA. The schools that are recruiting me are Merrimack, UMass Lowell, UMass Amherst.
Great grades, a star athlete. But this Somerville High senior, and many others like him, doesn't have the same options as his classmates. He's undocumented.
I was 13 when I came here. I adapted fast to the culture. I would do my homeworks every night. I was junior, senior, and then I realized that the situation about going to college is not just having good grades or being good at some sport.
Mitchell Freitas had a similar experience.
In my senior year, I kind of hit a little bit of a desperation point where I didn't know what to do, you know. I had to apply to colleges, but I didn't know what colleges would take me because I was undocumented. There were no scholarships, little scholarships available to me, so I was kind of in a tough situation. The feeling of seeing all my peers around me, you know, filling out their FAFSAs and just applying and getting the driver's license and getting all these amazing jobs, it was horrible. I remember that at times I would get home and I would break down. I would break down into tears, honestly, because I had worked my whole life, you know, studied hard, worked hard to achieve something once graduation came around, and it was kind of like all the doors of the world were sort of shut to me, you know.
Every year, 65,000 undocumented youth graduate from high schools across the country. In Somerville, the number might be a dozen, but it might be much higher. Students are not obligated to disclose their status. Undocumented students are not eligible for most grants or financial aid, or even in-state tuition. School counselor Ann Hertzberg tries to help those she can.
One of the hardest things I see every year is students who have done everything right in high school. They've taken the right classes, they've tried, they've excelled, they've reached out in the community, gotten involved, been captains of sports teams, started new activities, kind of everything that you would hope a student would do in U.S. high school sort of four-year experience, and because of their status here, they're unable to find a place that will accept them and will give them the financial support that they need to be able to attend a four-year college especially. Part of my job as a guidance counselor is helping all of my students apply for college. So when I start talking to my students, especially in the junior year, the beginning of senior year, I have to let them know that the college application process, and especially the financial aid process, is very different depending on their status in the U.S.
I think we need to ask them to resend it to you.
As an immigrant myself and as a counselor, it's hard for me to not believe in the American dream, that students can be here and be successful and work hard and achieve. And every time I see them doing everything that they need to be doing and not able to get that last step of getting a diploma, getting the recognition, the success, the scholarships, whatever that they deserve, it really breaks my heart.
I go to bed every night, think about it. Sometimes my mom sees me crying and then she's asked why, and I just don't like talking about it because I don't want to hurt my parents that they have been working so hard for me to attend college.
Students brought to the United States before 2007 can apply for DACA, which means Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. DACA recipients get a work permit and access to some financial aid.
Somerville has a large number of students that do qualify for DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. The students did have to be in the country prior to June 15th, 2007. So for the students that I work with, the vast majority actually came after that date. But in the city of Somerville and in Somerville High School, we had many students that qualified. I probably had about 10 students that qualified.
But many did not.
I arrived in the United States in January 27, 2009. So I was 2 years late.
Students like the soccer player are in limbo. If it passes, the DREAM Act would provide some relief. Congressman Michael Capuano backs the bill.
That I am a supporter of the DREAM Act, but I am a supporter of the DREAM Act pending passage of comprehensive immigration reform. If and when we can ever get to a decent comprehensive immigration reform, I'm hoping that the DREAM Act will then no longer be necessary. I look at it as a temporary necessity, as a bridge to where we really want to be. Look, I mean, you can make an argument every day of the week as to about adults who may have come here illegally, or usually stayed here illegally, and that's fine. That's one part of the discussion. I just don't think it's a valid part of the discussion to include children who really didn't choose their life. They're pending in limbo, and I think they're wasting their future. We are wasting their future on their behalf. I think it's a terrible tragedy.
We were born here, basically. I mean, we might have been born in another country, but we are basically Americans, where I don't see any other life other than living in the United States, where all my culture has been Americanized, and you know, the way I speak has been Americanized. We're Americans, and we want to make this country great. We want to work and, you know, contribute to our society here.
Mitchell Freitas was lucky. He got his green card at the last minute and was able to attend college. Today, he works at a bank. But the soccer player isn't so lucky. He might go back to Brazil or maybe attend community college if he can afford it. Until comprehensive immigration reform passes, tens of thousands of kids, just like the soccer player who grew up right here in the United States, are stuck in limbo. Reporting for Somerville Neighborhood News, and with the help of Marcelo Brosiner, I'm Jane Regan.
It's tragic, and I really wonder how long it's going to take for an immigration reform law to be passed.
I have no idea, but Congressman Capuano urged that everyone who can vote to vote in every election.